Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Rant Packs. My name is Justice, my handle is Sarcantuna, and thank you so much for watching. Most of you know I'm a free-to-play arena player. I'm all free-to-play. I don't want to spend too much money on this game. I'm not against it, right? Not against it at all. But I do really want to play with as little money invested as possible just because it's hard to maintain two collections. And right now the game's in beta, so I want to see how this plays out and see if my theories are going to play out the way I think they should. And as such, I'd like to offer you guys some advice on how to spend wildcards, and we'll do that before we get into the pack opening for this week, as Ravnica Allegiance is set to come out in the next 2 weeks. So this could be, depending on how they do the launch of this thing, this could be the last time we open the 3 weekly packs of Guilds of Ravnica as we move into Ravnica Allegiance. Now, last time they did the set release, I was not in the beta for Core 19. So Core 19 had dropped in July, and then I got into the beta after July, whatever the date Core 19 came out. And when they launched Guilds of Ravnica, they took the servers down for like 4 or 5 days, and then they launched Guilds of Ravnica after a set wipe. So this is a good time to test out my theory as to how to grow a collection properly, how to compete with folks who have just quite frankly more cards than I do. And because of that, I'm not spending wild cards right now. I could probably do some improvement on some of my decks by buying more lands or using some wild cards on some much needed like uncommons. But anytime a new set comes out, the game changes completely. It's a rare occurrence that happens with this game, and it's pretty unique to this game. There's going to be... who knows what's going to happen. My personal theory is that Orzhov is going to take over. Orzhov will be the new powerhouse guild. I think Afterlife is going to be super strong. I think Mortify, the white-black removal card, is going to be in every deck. It will be ever-present in all the decks. And I think... in terms of abilities, Afterlife and Riot are the two best. And I think the Simic ability isn't going to be as widely used as people don't think. Addendum, I think, is what that's called for Azorius. Kind of garbage, in my opinion. I think if you're casting a spell on your main phase, it almost seems like they're trying to speed up the game for control players. So they're making the blue-white ability, the Azorius ability, as if you cast a spell during any of your main phases, you get the addendum piece of it. I don't like that at all. I think that's kind of a bad news bear, if you know what I mean. And then the Rakdos ability. Now, the interesting thing about Rakdos, I think Rakdos is going to be pretty strong too, because of the spectacle and all of the shock lands that are going to be out there. So there'll be 10 shock lands in total for all the dual color guilds. And if you play a shock land and pay 2 life to have it come into play untapped, well, then your spectacle, your opponent plays that land, right? The spectacle would trigger. And so you get the spectacle ability to kick off, and you didn't have to do anything. It didn't cost you any mana. You just waited for them to play a mana, untap, boom, you get the spectacle. And then you can do, a lot of the spectacle things are sorceries that I've seen so far. But with the sets released, we can take some time and comb through them and look at what's going to be useful in terms of the upcoming cards. And the other thing that I'm doing is practicing just with like mock drafts and stuff, because it's going to be hopefully the first event released will be a draft for Ravnica Allegiance either this weekend or next coming up. I'm pretty excited about that. So with any luck, I'll be in a pretty good place. I've got 800 gems, not as many as I'd like to have had by this point, but I do have almost 25,000 gold. So I should be able to open at least 30 packs on launch day. I might save 5,000. That might open somewhere in the 20s, like 20, 26, 27 packs. When I do want to save 5,000 gold for the first Ravnica Allegiance event. If it does cost gold, if it costs gems, then I will happily pay $5 or so for gems. And then open up hopefully 3 packs of Ravnica Allegiance. And then start planning my wild cards around the stronger cards that I get initially from whoever, the gods of the pack algorithm, whatever cards they decide to give me, that's what I'm going to go with first. And what I'm going to try and do is some deep analysis into how the guilds are playing out, how certain cards are playing out. I sort of wish I would have done that with Guilds of Ravnica, just to analyze the details of it to kind of pick apart what my opponents are doing. I'm no good at playing Izzet, just as an example, right? But it's important to know how it operates so that you can beat it, at least for me. And so what I want to take some time doing is show you guys how I analyze Niv Mizzet, like Niv Mizzet, Perun the Dragon. Everybody's familiar with that one. But there's ways around the playability of that from your opponent's perspective, and I want to get into the deep analysis of what I do. I'm going to show you guys how I do that, how I analyze card strength, how I analyze ways around it, and then every time my opponent makes a play, I weigh in my mind whether or not I need to have a reaction to it. Do I need to plan for this? Do I have to have a reaction for it? There are things that you can just watch happen. You don't have to care about them. You know what I mean? Like, you just, okay, they make their move, they play a card, and in an instant, we all do it. We just say, well, maybe I don't have to worry about this one right away because I have another plan for my moves. And there are some powerhouse cards that your opponents can play, and especially when a set first comes out, they play them and you have no idea what the right thing to do is going to be. I'm going to break all that down with some of the bombs and some of the more scary cards that come out. An example is like Doom Whisperer. When Doom Whisperer drops, at least at first, everyone's like, well, what are we going to do about Doom Whisperer? But there's ways around it, like always. Carnage Tyrant was another one in Ixalan when it came out. Turns out Cleansing Nova does just fine against Carnage Tyrant. So stuff like that. That's going to come up here, probably not this week. This week I'm going to do some deep dives on the existing guilds and how they might change compared to the power of guilds that are coming out. So like Dimir might get a boost from some Azorius abilities, and it might get a boost from Rakdos abilities. Dimir might actually benefit from the mono black spectacle cards, so be ready for that. And also some surprise Death Touch cards also for Dimir. I think that might be pretty cool. So look for that coming up, and then next week, of course, hopefully we have some Ravnica Allegiance to talk about, or maybe one last Guilds of Ravnica event that they do for us. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's open up some packs and see what our last hoorah is going to be in the Guilds of Ravnica pack openings here. We got a Crackling Drake, an uncommon wild card, saving all those up for the next set, and an erratic Cyclops. Alright, it's because he only has the one eye. He doesn't know exactly when. He's got no depth perception, so he's a little erratic. Status the statue, Swarm Guildmage. Nothing. A Deafening Clarion. That's sticking around. That's a great pull right there. I don't think Deafening Clarion is going anywhere. And we got a Blood Operative. Woohoo! That's like 4 of those. And I think Blood Operative is going to be one that's widely used. So whenever you surveil a Blood Operative is in your graveyard, you may pay 3 life if you do return it to your hand. Imagine this paired with Afterlife, and this is what I'm talking about, the analysis. Afterlife, all those tokens have lifelink. So now you can pay 3 life freely if you've got Afterlife happening. You're going to have more life than you can possibly imagine. So Afterlife combined with Surveil all of a sudden could be a downright scary combination. So there you have it, 3 packs opened, and like I said, it's going to be a pretty exciting time for the release of Ravnica Allegiance. Stick around, stay with me, watch all those videos with me, leave a comment, leave a like. Thanks so much, appreciate it. Y'all have a good time.